everybody, it's your friend and your guy and your favorite YouTuber who just needs to use BitChute though. Gardiner, the Linux gamer. No. This video wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the support of my amazing 141, I believe, patrons. I don't have it up on the screen here today because, well, my server is malfunctioning again. Sorry about that. I want to give a special shout out to all of my top tier Singularity members who donate at the highest possible level on Patreon. Your guys' support is truly amazing. If you get about halfway through this video and you decide that you like it, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps the show out. The thumbs up button, you know, it really tells YouTube what for. You can also hit that subscribe button if you're so inclined. You can also head over to LBRY, beta.lbry.tv, and sign up to see what's going on over there. It's a totally distributed open source platform, and I really, really enjoy it. So today we're gonna do another tier list because I find these to be incredibly fun. I think that this is a really cool thing that iDubbbz came up with. Did iDubbbz come up with it? He was the first one I saw do it. So I figure, why not do FOSS brands? Now, this is going to be totally subjective, as most tier lists are. So if you get butthurt about something that I say or where I place a brand's rank here in my list, well, then you can make your own list. You can also call me out for things that you think I've ranked incorrectly here. But honestly, this is my list. This is my channel. So, you know, it's a completely subjective thing. So all of these brands are going to be based on my feeling and my interpretation of how their brands are actually portrayed in the FOSS world, how well they represent FOSS in general, and how coherent the brand actually is. And when I say brand, what I'm talking about is not just the logo. It's also like how integrated and how coherent, like the font choices and the colors and their website and all the things that you interact with as a brand, how well all of their products come together under a single umbrella. And keep in mind that this is a totally unscientific ranking. Like, this is my personal opinion as a brand nerd. So I think that without further ado, let's just get to it, shall we? All right, I think this is going to be pretty fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank these brands. Pardon me. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank these brands, and it should be a good time because really, this is just meant to be fun. This isn't meant to disparage anybody. And I think the first brand that we're going to start with is Unix. Unix is, if you're not familiar, the overarching philosophy of Linux. It's actually Unix, I believe, is proprietary to Pacific Bell or Atlantic Bell or what, some freaking telephone company or something. I don't know. I'm not a historian. But Unix is it was like the first operating system that had like this philosophy, like the POSIX standard, if I'm not mistaken. Whatever, don't listen to me, I don't know what I'm talking about. But the reason I have it on this list is because I'm going to give this an E rank. Now I want you guys to know why I'm giving it an E rank. The first reason is that it's an in-joke, and in-jokes I just don't care for that much. In-jokes, if you don't know what a eunuch is, it's someone who's had their it's a male who has had their testicles removed for, you know, religious or other purposes, and that's a eunuch, right? And so eunuchs would be a group of eunuchs, you know. And so that's why I'm not a huge fan of the name Unix, because it's kind of gross. It makes me uncomfortable a little bit. Now, I know I'm going to get some flack for that, but yeah, whatever. I don't really care. This is meant to be fun. I'm not disparaging anybody here. This is just meant to be fun. So the next brand that I'm going to rank, let's pick one at random here, Blender. So Blender is an awesome open source 3D editor. It's meant to do all kinds of stuff, but like they just had this really awesome release with a bunch of cool updates that including like some updates that bring the keyboard commands in line with some of the other industry standard, more proprietary offerings in the 3D editing environment. I don't know what the technical term is for this, but we're just going to call it a 3D editor because, you know, I'm classy like that. So we're going to give Blender a B rank, I believe. B for Blender. B for Blender is a good rank for this brand. Their website is pretty good. Their choices of fonts, I think, are on point, and they usually stick to the choice of their fonts. I like the logo. I think it's clean and it looks nice. There are a lot of like logo variations that are online. I don't like logo variations, and I think Blender doesn't even. They actually have logo and wordmark guidelines on their website. In fact, they actually prohibit or ask you to not use the wrong logo, which I think is good, and that's going to be a requirement to get a B or above. If your brand has like a brand usage guidelines thing on their website, that's going to be a major component to get a B or above. You have to have that on your site, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you actually will get a B or above. Just putting that out there. Next up, let's go with Raspberry Pi. So the Raspberry Pi is a foundation, and it's also a really cool little $5 computer or $30 computer. It's a very inexpensive computer. I really like the Raspberry Pi. I have a couple of them kicking around. I do random things with them. Raspberry Pi is really sweet. You see what I did there? I didn't even mean to do that one. Raspberry Pi is cool. I like it. Their brand is pretty solid. I'd say it's recognizable. I like their website. It's clean and looks nice. I mean, yeah. It's a pleasure to see. So that's why it's going to get a C. And that's about as high quality of a justification as you're going to get from my rankings on this video. So if you don't like puns and weird leaps of logic, then you're on the wrong video. Next up, we're going to go with the Linux Foundation. Now, the Linux Foundation are kind of a controversial group in some circles in the Linux world. They, accept money from a bunch of rando proprietary offerings, as well as some open source companies. I'm not going to judge them based on that. I'm going to judge them purely on their branding. And I have to say that I kind of like their branding. I really do. I think the Linux Foundation branding is solid, although I don't know that this icon actually means a whole lot. There, you can see there's an L, and it's like a circle or like a circled square. I mean, it's okay. I really wish that Linux had a coherent brand, a brand that actually, was recognizable, like the Windows logo or the Apple logo, something like that, that represented Linux as a whole. And Tux doesn't count. Tux does not count. Tux is a mascot like Mario. Mario is not Nintendo's logo. I'm sorry. So I would like the Linux Foundation to actually come out with some kind of brand for Linux as a whole. And because of that, the Linux Foundation branding is going to get a C, because while the organization itself has a brand, I don't think that Linux, the kernel, or Linux-based operating systems have a brand that is coherent enough to justify a higher score. Whoa, did I just actually say something and make a point with this video? Weird. All right, next up is going to be GNOME. GNOME is both a desktop environment and a foundation. I like their website. I think their choice of fonts are good. Their color scheme is solid and on point. The biggest problem that I have with the GNOME logo is the logo itself. The footprint logo, it feels very 90s. It could definitely use an update, in my opinion. However, the word mark, GNOME itself right here, is nice. I like that. I can't give GNOME an S tier, even though I want to, because most of what they do is pretty awesome. And I'm going to dock them a few points as well, because while their human interface guidelines are great, and their website follows those, and they also have the same brand usage guidelines as the Blender Foundation does on their website, I have to say that their naming conventions for apps are insane. Instead of using something like Epiphany, which is a cool name for a web browser, they're trying to change it to GNOME Web or just Web. I don't like that. I think that apps should have a memorable, interesting, unique name rather than just being a noun. So because of that, I'm going to give GNOME a B. Now that might be a surprise to a lot of people, but GNOME, I'm sorry, you got to get on a higher level when it comes to naming your apps, and that logo could definitely use a refresh. I know that and all my friends at the GNOME Foundation, again, this is not me talking crap. This is just my personal opinion. Next up, we're going to go with GitHub. GitHub is a code storage repository. It's pretty cool. I liked GitHub a lot before it got bought by Microsoft. The logo is okay. The Octocat, or whatever they call it, is pretty cute as a mascot. I don't know what it is with open source projects and mascots, but that's okay. But the logo is identifiable. It's unique. I like it. The word mark is pretty standard, I would say. The font choice is coherent, and the branding on their website is pretty good. I think I'm going to give GitHub an A. GitHub gets an A. I like their brand. It's good. But like I said, the icon, the logo, could use a little bit more. Just a little bit more of something. One of the things that I've noticed here is that there are a lot of just black and white. And I tried to find like colorful variations, and I really couldn't. I mean, Purism, GitHub, GNOME, Unix, the Canoe. I mean, all of these could have been significantly more interesting, use more color. Elementary OS had several variations, but this was the highest resolution one I could find. So, but yeah, I mean, there should be more color in the free and open source world. So next up, let's go with Ubuntu. Why not Ubuntu, right? Ubuntu is definitely an excellent brand. I would say that Ubuntu, and Canonical as well, I would say Canonical is one of the best free and open source companies when it comes to branding. I mean, just look at this, okay? Ubuntu has a solid, recognizable logo. It is unique, it's distinct. The word mark Ubuntu is unique and distinct as well. They have their own font that they developed. They paid for to be developed, which is mad props in my opinion. It's not my personal choice when it comes to fonts. I think that it is definitely overused, and many of the variants don't have the same. They don't live up to the same quality as the standard weight Ubuntu font. But with all that being said, Ubuntu and Canonical by extension are both going to get an S rank. Ubuntu is definitely one of the best brands in the FOSS world. Canonical as well. All right, next up, we're going to go with GIMP. Why not GIMP? So GIMP, I would say, doesn't have a consistent branding at all, hardly at all. I mean, if you look at like GIMP's website, it's kind of like whatever, middle of the road. It's a website. Their naming is controversial in some circles, and Wilbur is not an attractive logo. Like I think that GIMP, the logo is just not very good, I would say. GIMP's splash screen changes every release, or every major release, which I find just to be weird. Like, I mean, if you look at Photoshop, they have a consistent branding when it comes to all of Adobe's products. And yet with GIMP, there isn't a consistent branding in any of the standalone app. Like there's very little in the way of branding when it comes to the app itself. So I think with GIMP, I think that's going to be the first F of this list. GIMP is just not a great brand in my opinion. Though recognizable it may be, I just don't like it. I don't think it works. All right, next up, let's go with Red Hat. Red Hat, I would say, has a pretty good brand. I think Red Hat is, a nice brand. It's recognizable. Their website matches, it goes along with the consistent style of most of the other, top tier brands up here. I'm going to dock it a few points just because of the fact that it was bought by IBM. That sucks to me. For some reason, to me, that makes it less distinct as a brand. So with that being the case, I'm going to give it a C for kinda. All right, next up, let's go with GNU. GNU is a very recognizable brand. People know it far and wide in the computer world. GNU, their website matches their logo, I would say. However, GNU, because it's an inside joke, and I just find those kind of cringy at the moment, I just think I'm going to give it a D. The logo is complicated. It's hand drawn. It just doesn't look clean. I'm sorry, but just don't use inside jokes. D. There you go. That's gonna be a controversial one right there. Next up, let's go with Purism. Purism has a distinct brand. Their logo is a rectangle. Their word mark is using a good font. I wouldn't say that it's my first choice for a font like that. Purism, also they don't use a lot of color. However, they do have brand usage guidelines on their website. Purism cares about their brand. That's obvious. So I think that with that being said, Purism is going to get a B rank. All right, next up, let's go with KDE. KDE, I like their logo. I really like their logo. It's clean, it's simple. It would be kind of hard to draw because of the gear to make everything kind of look and fit the dimensions correctly. Their website is, I would say that it kind of fits their aesthetic. I'd say that it matches like KDE Plasma a little bit. And this is not based on the desktop environment. This is just based on my interpretation of the brand. So with KDE, I'm a little bit torn because I would honestly give KDE a B rank in terms of brand. However, just like GNOME, I do not like their app naming convention. Most KDE apps are an in-joke, which I would dock it several tiers just because in-jokes. And what I mean by KDE using in-jokes for naming apps is like KdenLive, KDENLIVE. You know what I'm saying? Or most, if it doesn't include the letters KDE in that order, it will usually start with a K. I just don't like that. I want your apps to stand on their own 2 feet. So because of that, I'm going to give KDE a C. I'm not going to dock it and put it on the same level as GNU because I think GNU is a pretty bad brand, honestly. But I'm going to put it in the C tier. That's going to piss some people off, but you know what? This is my list, so deal with it. All right, next up, we have Firefox and Mozilla. Now, I think that Firefox, Mozilla, I think that, all of the new Firefox products have pretty awesome logos and they all kind of tie together except for Firefox, like the browser and the rest of their apps and services like Lockwise and the rest of them. Lockwise and the other ones like their VPN, all like the brands kind of tie together. It's not my favorite look. I think the line art is a little chunky and weird, but on that same token, they all tie together except for with the actual browser. And so because of that, I'm going to give Mozilla an A rank. Mozilla, it's very, I was torn. I was originally going to give Mozilla and Firefox an S rank. Their websites are beautiful. They, you know, their color scheme is on point. They obviously care about their brand, but I just have to give them an A rank. I can't give them an S. I really wanted to, but I don't think the line art of their service apps, their logos for those, match the browser logo. I don't think that it makes sense. Now, Elementary cares about their brand. Elementary is awesome. It's not my personal choice for an operating system, but it is a very popular OS, and it's because of their attention to detail. They infuse everything that they do with their brand. Their website is beautiful and it goes along perfectly hand in hand with their brand. And, you know, Elementary has brand guidelines on their website, which means that I'm going to give them an A rank. Uh-oh, my mouse is being weird. A rank, because they are all right. And finally, that leaves System 76. They have a completely tight and coherent brand. System 76 are masters of the brand. Their website goes hand in hand with their logo. Their brand guidelines make perfect sense, and even the machines that they build are, follow the same principles, design principles as their logo. Their word mark and their logo mark are distinct and recognizable. Because of that, I can't give them anything but an S rank. Now the question is, am I happy with how this turned out? Because I just winged this. So that's my list. This was not meant to disparage any brands or anything like that. This was meant to be fun and kind of like raise awareness about brands in the Linux world more than it is to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. I think we're all grown adults here and we can accept criticism from a nobody on the internet. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. I wanna know if you agree with my choices here. Let me know how you would rank things. There's gonna be the source file to actually edit your own, make your own over on the forums, forum.heavyelement.io, just like last time. And so if you head over there, you can create your own and post it there and share it with everybody to let me know what you think about that. But that's going to do it for this video. If you believe in the work that I do, you can support this show with a monthly contribution over on Patreon. You can pick up a t-shirt. There's a link in the description. But no matter what you do, whether you hit that like button or share this video with your friends, don't forget to subscribe to see more from me, the Linux Gamer. And as always, thanks for watching.